Welcome back to a special hour of RFL that we're calling Dealing with the Disabled. You know, as a country, we have come a very long way when it comes to the care of the developmentally disabled. Nowadays, many families demand that their loved ones be treated just like everyone else. They want them to live in regular homes and not in large institutions that have been the norm for decades. And perhaps most importantly, they say they want their loved ones to be able to make their own choices.
Thank you.
Three women with varying levels of disability share this home in a quiet New Jersey suburb. Poonam is a nonverbal, wheelchair-bound woman who requires a lot of care. Lois is a chatty senior who is smitten with a late Hawaii Five-0 star, Jack Lord. Lois is retired, and she likes to take walks around town by herself.
She goes out on her own. She has her ID, her personal things that she carries with her, and she communicates with people very well. She doesn't speak to strangers. She's very familiar with her surroundings, and she really does pay attention. She also walks with a cell phone, so if she needs to communicate to the staff.
Celeste Williams is in charge of the home where the women live. She supervises 9 staff members who work around the clock. They're trained in first aid, proper nutrition, and medicine.
Assistant living, finances, help with doctor's appointments, transportation if needed, community outings. We do a wide range of things here.
No matter how significant a disability, a person is able to communicate a choice of some way. And it may be a very small choice in their life, whether they're too hot or too cold, or they're hungry, or they need some kind of support, or they want people around them, or they don't want people close by them. For everything in a person's life, despite their level of disability, they can communicate choices and they can communicate needs, and we should give them that dignity to make every choice that they possibly can.
Celine Fortin is with the Arc of New Jersey, a nonprofit founded decades ago by parents who are looking to get the community to provide more support for their developmentally disabled children. The group is now national and currently has a chapter in every county in the state. They provide support services for the developmentally disabled residents, including homes and jobs.
I think people really need that feeling that they're doing meaningful work, they're getting a paycheck, they're getting to meet other people and have a social life, and we see people really blossom with that opportunity.
For nearly 100 years, New Jersey has relied on large state-run institutions. But in recent years, there has been a push to put more people with disabilities into the community. In 1999, that trend started to pick up speed when the U.S. Supreme Court issued its Olmstead decision. Since that decision, many states have closed the doors on all of their institutions. Today, only 2 states have more people in institutions than the state of New Jersey. But many families with loved ones in New Jersey's developmental centers believe that the community setting does not have the resources or level of expertise to care for their family members. Those who support community living believe that those assumptions are based on fear.
We provide all kinds of support services in the community, and we serve people with very significant medical needs and behavioral needs. And you've met some of the folks here today, and they have some severe needs, but we serve people with even more significant needs, folks who came from developmental centers and are now living in the community. So the community can take care of those folks. Do we need to expand those services? Do we need to make sure that we have everything in place before we bring more folks into the community? Absolutely. No one's going to say that life is perfect for all the 2,500 folks who are in developmental centers to move out tomorrow.
I think that we're equal, if not possibly superior, because our guys work for a whole lot less and do not have the state benefits that individuals with the state enjoy.
Like so many arguments in New Jersey and elsewhere, the bottom line is often money. There are some who argue that the community system will not get better until some of the institutions are closed and that money is redistributed.
The ARC's position is really like, do we really need 7 anymore? As they get smaller and they're very costly to operate on a day-to-day basis, at some point we have to look at consolidating down.
When asked if the developmental center should be closed altogether,
I think that over time, a very long period of time, I think they should.
New Jersey's Department of Human Services, they have a critical voice in the debate about whether or not state-run institutions should be closed and residents move to community centers like one that we just saw. They have the largest budget in state government, and close to 75% of its employees are direct care workers in the state-run developmental centers and psychiatric hospitals. I recently spoke with Janelle Winter, the Director of Housing for New Jersey's Department of Human Services, Division of Developmental Disabilities, and I asked her about this timeline when it comes to closing facilities.
Well, we're not looking at a closure right now of all facilities. What was originally proposed was, because we have a capacity among our 7 developmental centers of more than 3,600, and we have a census of about 2,400, we really have excess capacity there, and so the state proposed closing one of those developmental centers, Vineland Developmental Center. And right now we have a task force that's considering it. The members haven't been appointed, but they should be shortly, and we expect a decision from them in the late spring.
One of the things that struck us, Janelle, when we spoke to both not only the family members, but also the people that have been working at Hunterdon, for example, and it's amazing to me how many people have been working there for 20, 30 years. And they'll say, one size does not fit all with this population. Somebody, for example, with Asperger's or with mild cases of autism, they can be transitioned into a community center. But some of the cases, and they call them severely mental retardation, these cannot be transitioned, and they take offense when people say, oh, the light will go on, or they'll bloom once they'll be put into a community center, as if all steps haven't been taken to try and get their full potential where they are now. They're petrified that people in Trenton don't fully understand that we're talking about a population with so many different types and so many different really complicating aspects.
Well, I think something you said there is really important, which is that one size does not fit all. And that's something that we really know. And so when we're looking at finding the appropriate housing placements for people, we're looking at a wide variety of different types of models of housing. We have group homes, and among those group homes, many of them operate in different ways depending on the services that people need. We have supervised apartments, we have different supportive living settings, and we've really had some developers and providers who've been pretty innovative in the way they've developed housing to really meet individuals' needs.
A lot of the people that we saw at Hunterdon, I would say the majority, if not vast majority, they had such acute cases, they were in no position to be able to make up their own decisions. And part of the concerns from the family members, and they did an informal survey that they conducted, where 96% of both the family members and guardians wanted to keep their loved ones in developmental centers rather than community center, was, listen, how do people presume to know what this loved one wants? This person can't make up their own mind or even identify basic things, let alone make a life decision about where they want to be cared for. How are decisions being made for people that can't make them for themselves?
Well, in everything that we do, we involve individuals and their families and their guardians as well, and they have a really strong voice and role in all of the housing that we develop, in where people decide to live, in the way in which they'll be served. That is one of the greatest values that we have in our development.
I want to just get clarity on one thing, which was the task force. Yes. Are we saying for sure that family members will have a seat on the task force, that they will be represented on that final task force?
I do not know who will be appointed to the task force. The governor will appoint, I believe, 3 of the seats, and the other 2 will be appointed by the legislature.
Well, speaking to that, part of the concerns that they say of some of the names that have been mentioned for the task force have been people, including a Lowell area, who has direct interest right now in privately run community centers, and they say that this is proof positive that a decision has already been made. We already know the stated preference of the governor, but the people who will be making this final recommendation already have their own interests in mind here, and these finally these developmental centers, no one's going to be speaking up for them. It's kind of, the decision's already been made. People are just going through the process.
As I said, I don't know who will be appointed to the task force at this time. But again, one of the things they've really been, that I believe is that they've been tasked with doing, is looking at it and really hearing what everyone has to say and coming to the best recommendation.
No one's saying these developmental centers don't do a good job, so the argument is, if it's not broke, why try and fix it?
I think for us it boils down to a civil rights issue, which is the right of people to live in as integrated a way in their community as possible, and in the least restrictive way that's possible and appropriate to their needs.
It's not about money, it's about civil rights?
I think for us it really is about civil rights and respecting people's rights to live in the community and in a way that's as integrated as possible and appropriate to their needs.
And do we have examples, does the state, that people's civil rights have been infringed? People wanted to move to community centers, but they're being denied that option right now?
I really don't have any information on that right now.
Then how is it about civil rights if we don't have any examples where rights are being infringed?
Well, I think one of the things that we've seen and we've heard from advocates, we've heard from many people, is that people do have that right to live in the community in as integrated a fashion as possible. And what we're trying to do is respect their right and respect that ability.
All right, Janelle, thank you very much, and I appreciate a few minutes with you. Thank you very.
Thank you, Richard.
Coming up next, New Jersey Senate President Stephen Sweeney explains why, for him, the debate over the developmentally disabled isn't just about politics. It's far more personal. Please stay with us.